Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report, and if you're excited that the Las Vegas Raiders just franchise tagged Josh Jacobs, I want you to hit that like button so hard. I mean it. Just tap that like button. Hit it. I am so excited that the Raiders finally got this deal done. I know free agency is a wild time, and realistically, for you to be able to build in the right direction, you got to build that solid foundation. One of the biggest things that the Raiders needed to do right, I go all the way back to my perfect Raiders free agency plan, and I think, what was one of the very first things I said? Franchise tag Josh Jacobs, and it is now officially official. Last week we talked about how the Raiders' plan was to do this if they don't get a contract extension done. Well, guess what? Now it's officially official. Josh Jacobs, as it stands right now, this upcoming season will play at $10.1 million. And they kind of got interesting here because the franchise tag window, it ends tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern time. And even though it hasn't been mentioned if it's the exclusive or non-exclusive tag on him, I'm telling you right now that the Raiders are going to place the non-exclusive tag on him, which essentially means that still other NFL teams can communicate with him, that they can interact, they can say, hey, we're willing to offer you this much money, but no NFL team is going to give up 2 first-round picks. So essentially what that means is if a team says, hey, Raiders, I know you placed the non-exclusive tag on him, we want Jacobs, we're willing to give him more money. Raiders say, great, you can have Jacobs, and then the silver and black get 2 first-round picks. That's not going to happen. The other thing that people do need to keep in mind with Jacobs is I do potentially think that a contract extension could end up getting done on a later date. But I'll talk about that in just a little bit. I want to know from you. Say it with your chest. Say it loud and proud. I want you to pretend you're at Allegiant, that you're at the Coliseum, and that you are screaming your freaking lungs out right now for 28, like I did almost when he had that 86-yard touchdown run. What is your one-word reaction to the Raiders tagging Josh Jacobs? Let me know down in the comments. My one-word reaction is predicted, because this is the move that I have predicted for the Raiders since the season ended. When you have a running back that has the type of year that Jacobs had, you can't let him go. And this is coming from me. This is coming even from McDaniels, Ziegler, people who don't believe in paying in the running back position. But look at a dude who had 340 carries, over 1,600 rushing yards. He led the NFL in rushing yards. Plus, he led the NFL in total yards. I mean, you couldn't ask for much more. And depending on what the Raiders decide to do at the quarterback position, franchise tagging Jacobs was the absolute right thing to do by this organization. Now, if you guys don't ever want to miss any Raiders news, I want you to take a second, hit the subscribe button, turn on those notifications, and if you're already subbed, hey, shout out to you. Let me know how long you've been subscribed to this show for. I can still remember the day where I'm live on Chat Sports. The Las Vegas Raiders at pick number 24 have selected running back out of Alabama, Josh Jacobs. Like, the fact that I'm starting to get to that point in my career here on this show, it's starting to be really, really freaking cool. And I want you all to join the family. Hit that subscribe button. So, again, the Raiders, they now have officially franchise tagged Josh Jacobs. However, I do still think, though, there is an opportunity for the Raiders to get a long-term contract extension done. Mitch, what do you mean by that? So, just because Jacobs is on the franchise tag doesn't technically mean that he has to play on it. Jacobs has the option to say, no, I don't want to play on the tag. He can sit. He doesn't make any money. If anything, he loses money because he'll get fined. But then sometimes teams are like, all right, I don't want you to do that. I want you to be healthy. We'll get a long-term deal done. I do think if the Raiders end up getting a contract extension done, you're probably going to be looking at something like a 3-year, somewhere around $39 million. But the early cap hit is going to be very, very low. It's going to be something that they're going to negotiate. If the Raiders don't want him to play on the tag, they have until July 15th. July 15th at 4 p.m. Eastern Time to try to get a deal done. However, as it stands right now, as we are getting ready to enter 2023 NFL free agency, you got this Raiders running back room, which now you got your bell cow back in Josh Jacobs. Sure, Amir Abdullah is going to hit free agency. He's a candidate, though, to me, that could potentially come back because of his connections with Kennedy Palomeo. Also, you got Samir White, who they drafted, Britton Brown, one of my favorite running backs, Sincere McCormick. Brandon Bolden, he's a cut candidate to me. You can move on from him and save a little bit of money. Speaking of cuts, if you're trying to cut down on your waistline, I do think a product that every single person should try, especially if you like to party and you like to have a good time here on the Raiders Report. Major shout out to today's sponsor, Athletic Greens, for sponsoring the Raiders Report. I take AG1 by Athletic Greens literally every day. Get comprehensive and convenient daily nutrition at athleticgreens.com/chatsports. I gave AG1 a try because I wanted immune support and one of the supplement that tastes great. I take AG1 in the morning, and it makes me feel ready to take on my day. My grandma always said that the early bird gets the worm, and AG1 inspires and motivates me to get as many worms as possible every day. AG1 really helps me getting my day started, getting out of bed, especially after some of our watch parties can be difficult, especially when Ty Davis sends in a $100 super chat. I'm a person who likes and needs a routine. AG1 helps me stick to my healthy routine, wake up early, take my AG1, take Chuck for a walk, then hit the gym before work. Covering my nutritional base for the day literally couldn't be easier, which is why I trust Athletic Greens. I just mix one small scoop of AG1 with water, drink it first thing in the morning. Done! I also like it because it costs less than $3 a day. That's pretty freaking good if you ask me. It's a really effective daily habit with the highest quality sourced ingredients. It is a win-win. If a comprehensive solution is what you need from your supplement routine, then Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. So Nation, what are you waiting for? Go to athleticgreens.com/chatsports. That's athleticgreens.com/chatsports. Check it out. It's going to be in the comments and in the description of today's video. Also, a huge shout out to my dog Chuck. Yesterday was his gotcha day. We did all sorts of walking. My feet are killing me. Heck, even Chuck was getting up a little bit slow today. And when I was drinking my AG1, he was kind of looking at me like, are you going to feed me yet, bro? Chuck, I love you, homeboy. All right, we're going to keep today's show rolling because the Las Vegas Raiders franchise tag Jacobs. And a lot of people, they talk about King Henry. They talk about Christian McCaffrey, Justin Jefferson. But like when you realistically look at numbers and you're thinking total yards, Jacobs, the most total yards. Jacobs, the most first down runs. Having a player like that on your offense is so critical, especially if the reports are true around the Raiders potentially drafting a quarterback. What is a young rookie quarterback's best friend? Don't get me wrong, Devontae might be the answer to that. But having a great running game. If you're a young rookie quarterback, you want to have Josh Jacobs in your backfield. If you had a quarterback, let's say like Aaron Rodgers or an older vet, having a stud running back is not nearly as important as if you were to bring in a rookie. So I do think that this is one of those moves where I'm kind of sitting up here being like, hey, I know that there's reports out there that the Raiders are still potentially interested in Aaron Rodgers, but the more and more I start to think about it, the more I'm like, I think that they're either going to try to trade up for C.J. Stroud or they're going to wait to see who is the best quarterback available at pick number 7. Why? Because this is a regime that usually does not pay running backs. So now you have Jacobs. You make him happy. If they do decide to give him a long-term type of deal, which if I was Jacobs and I'm looking at these running backs right there, I'm looking at Derrick Henry, who right now is sitting somewhere at 12.5. Dalvin Cook was on that list, 12.6. And you're talking about some of the top running backs in the league. I'm saying, wait a minute. Give me the type of money that Cook and Ezekiel Elliott are getting, somewhere in between there. I don't forecast another back getting anywhere over $15 million just because of, let's face it, the NFL doesn't run like that anymore. But the fact that Pollard got franchise tagged today, that was a domino. Then Josh Jacobs, he got tagged today. The more and more dominoes that you see start to fall in the NFL, you could start to predict when certain things are going to happen. So I know this is going to be a tough question because depending on who the quarterback is, I mean, that really puts a lot of emphasis on that. And on top of that, you don't even really know who the Raiders' offensive line is. I mean, as it stands right now, I would say the only 2 offensive linemen guaranteed to come back to the Raiders, Colt Miller at left tackle, and then I would say Dylan Parham is going to be your starting center. So how many rushing yards will Josh Jacobs have this upcoming season? I want to know what y'all are thinking. Let me know down in the comments. Now, this is the move that the Raiders have said that they were going to do all along. It's also the move that Josh Jacobs has said that he has wanted all along. So you have McDaniels, Ziegler, and then you got Jacobs, and they're happy. Josh Jacobs on staying with the Raiders. He said this earlier this offseason. For me, I got the Raiders seal tatted on me. It's always something I wanted to be a part of. I just bought a house in Vegas. It's definitely a place that I want to be. Jacobs also this offseason on being franchise tagged. If you want me to come back as the hero, you better pay me like a hero. When I read that quote, to me, honestly, I read that quote as like, if you want to pay me to be the hero, or if you want me to be the hero, and I think of that as like another bell cow back, you got to pay me like a true bell cow back gets paid, which $10.1 million still is actually a little bit lower. He wants the extension. He wants some extra guaranteed dollars, which I don't blame him. Realistically, running backs only get one shot to get that big opportunity. Shout out to Eminem. All right, here we go again. This is what Paul Gutierrez had to say on the Raiders re-signing Jacobs. The All-Pro became just the second Raiders player to lead the NFL in rushing, joining Marcus Allen. Even though Las Vegas chose to not pick up his fifth-year option last offseason, Coach Josh McDaniels said he would love to have Jacobs return. Jacobs back on January 9th on returning to the Raiders. For me, it's got to make sense. But this is obviously where I want to be. Coming in, I remember sitting down with Max Crosby and all these guys and talking about the Raiders organization and the culture and wanting to be a part of the change. I still feel that way, so hopefully I'll be back. So hopefully he'll be back. Well, guess what? He's back. Believe it, baby. Josh Jacobs, franchise tagged by the Las Vegas Raiders on a one-year deal at $10.1 million. A friendly reminder, if anybody out there wants to hit me up on Twitter, hit me up on IG. I'm at Mitchell Renz 365 to over 1,000 people tuned in right now. And then I did plan on going live on locals. However, with the breaking news here with Jacobs, we might have to put that a little bit on the back burner. But no matter what, we got you updated here. Josh Jacobs, franchise tag. He's going to be on the team in 2023.